Australia's business channel. This is Mediaweek.
Hello and welcome to the program. Ahead, media earnings, what companies are saying about the outlook, media buyer Harold Mitchell, the new Free TV Australia chairman, and the latest in reality TV ratings clash. But first, to the change in CEO at News Corp Australia. Julian Clark, who took over after Kim Williams' dramatic resignation last week, has indicated that he wants to build on what his predecessor has done. So how different will the operation be under the former Herald and Weekly Times chair, and what do advertisers think of the change? Our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek, is here. James, great to see you.
Hi, Bridie.
Just with the departure of Kim Williams from News Corp Australia, plenty has been written and said about what was behind that. What's your view?
I just think it was a whole bunch of factors. You know, he went in there, he made a lot of changes, upset a lot of people. Some of them, you know, understood what he was doing, some didn't. And I just think over a period of time, you know, and this all happened on the background of, you know, big losses in advertising income, real pressure on circulation. We'll see probably just how much perhaps in the circulation figures that are revealed shortly. You know, if that could have been a contributing factor, I'm sure it probably was, but just a whole lot of things.
How different a place will News Corp Australia be under the new CEO, Julian Clark?
Well, I guess Rupert Murdoch will want it to be, and the board will want it to be fairly different because they've made the change. Julian Clark's already indicated, look, he'll build on, you know, what Kim's done. Kim Williams, I think, probably did a lot of good jobs in getting costs out of the company that they needed to cut out to structure it for the new sort of marketplace, if you like, which is going to be a blend of print and digital. He'll look at that whole digital strategy. Did they go too much down the digital path at the expense of print? They'll look at the sales structure. Do they need to, you know, turn it back a little bit? And, you know, a lot of the big revenues are still with print. They really need to exploit them better, something we've talked a lot about before, particularly with regard to Fairfax. So it's interesting the focus now is on news and just where they're going with it.
And just in terms of what we'll hear from the new CEO, Julian Clark has been confirmed as appearing on a panel with his competitors at the gathering of the newspaper industry a little later this month.
Yeah, so that'll be good. We'll really get to hear from him then firsthand. I think this will probably be, it's only, a fortnight away this week, so we'll get to know what he's going to do, what his thoughts are about the future. He might indicate, you know, how long he's prepared to stay around. I was saying last week when this happened that he's probably not a long-term measure. Look, he's 69. But he could be here for, you know, a few years. I'm sure he's got plenty to offer in him. He's got, you know, great management skills. He'll be sharing that platform with his competitors and his colleagues, I guess, in that space. Michael Miller from APN, Chris Wharton from West Australian newspapers, and Greg Highwood, of course. So it'll be interesting to hear what they all have to say.
Yeah, and full coverage, of course, here on Sky News Business and Mediaweek. Let's get the reaction now, though, to two media buyers to this news of change at the top at News Corp Australia. We're joined on the program this week by Andrew Lamb, Managing Director of TMS, Australia's largest independent media agency. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, thanks for having me.
What do you think about all of this, and where to for Australian newspapers there at News Corp Australia?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to comment on the actual Kim Williams thing. There's been a lot of speculation out there, and I don't need to add to that. I think the biggest issue for the medium is that they've been going through an evolutionary change for some time. So that's a good thing. The problem, I think, is that the pace of that change has been so much slower than other channels, and they haven't realised the revenue opportunities that other channels have. So I'm going to say something controversial. There is no way to actually stop the decline of hard copy print sales. There are ways and tactics to actually slow it, but there are no ways to stop it. So I think that what both major publishers, News and Fairfax, need to do, and they already have been doing, is to continue to do initiatives that increase efficiency and other things like, you know, continue to actually break down the silos on editorial, continue to integrate their advertising teams. The paywall initiative, you know, all those things are terrific. The fact that data is now driving decisions is positive. The fact that tablet and mobile, even though the audiences are relatively small, there's some really promising signs there. So those initiatives, plus other efficiency initiatives like the print plant consolidation, the movement from broadsheet to tabloid and other modular you know, initiatives are all good. The reality is revenue's going south. For them to stay viable from an advertising point of view, they need to continue with more and more of those initiatives.
I mean, you're a big advertiser, you know a bit about the auto sector, for example.
Yep.
When you're spending money there, do you think the newspapers are positioned well to give the advertisers sort of a range of opportunities to reach their audiences?
Yeah, they are. And I think it differs publisher to publisher. I think that Fairfax were probably the first to actually really embrace cross-channel measurement. They did a very good job of that. And I think News Limited were probably the first to actually embrace cross-sales management. They did a good job of that. Having said that, Fairfax, as you both know, have recently reintroduced the AFR and all the business titles into that, so that's a terrific initiative as well. I think the real key is having advertisers see value in the mastheads as brands, and brands in their own right. Like the Sydney Morning Herald is a terrifically strong brand. The Herald Sun in Melbourne is a great brand, but it's the movement from that brand to the digital space that's going to be the real challenge. How do they actually migrate that, and how do they increase stickiness between eyeballs versus other opportunities that they're going to have when their paywalls are being put up?
And James, I guess in terms of this in the broader industry perspective as well, we've seen in the UK print circulations continuing to decline, some data in the past week.
Yeah, look, some big double-digit drops there, and as it goes to what you're saying, that's never going to stop, really.
No.
But do you think there's been any confusion at all, though, with readers, though, about what they should be doing? I mean, I'm someone who sort of likes my print on a weekend and I like the digital on a week, but I just get mixed messages from the publishers, about what I should be doing. The digital option's not always easy to understand, to subscribe to. It's clunky.
Yeah.
It's not always there when I want it.
I think
is that frustrating for advertising?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. I think that from Sydney Morning Herald, I'll use that as an example, I think their iPad tablet offering was absolutely fantastic, survey of one, but they also did, it's also evident in the advertising support that app received, as well as the claimed readership figures. But I guess the biggest challenge is that they've had that for free, and all of a sudden now they're actually being given, that's cut off to a point, and they've been asked to pay $28, $29, $30. So I don't know what's happened since then. I don't think those figures have been released. But I'd be very interested to see what take up.
Have you been paying?
I've stopped paying.
Well,
Sorry.
that's the challenge, isn't it?
I have stopped paying.
Well, it's not. There's something missing then from that mix that's not dragging you in.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
We do get, of course, a new readership measurement system from the Readership Works Emma launching this coming Monday. Just how big an event is this for advertisers, Andrew?
Yeah, look, it's always good to have healthy competition, particularly over an incumbent that's been the metric for so many years. TMS have actually enjoyed a very extensive trial with Emma, so the team over there have actually had a really positive experience with that so far. And there are two areas I think that they're really interested in. The first one is in the whole area of transparency. The fact that the Readership Works have actually got the buy-in and endorsement from the MFA, so that's all the media agencies, the MPA, which obviously represents all the magazine publishers, the AANA, all the advertisers, and the IAB is fantastic. In addition to that, they've had consultancy from people like Ian Muir. He's been in the research metric game for 50 years. He invented the TARP. So it's really good, I think, the way that they've actually approached that. The second thing that we're really interested in is the methodology. So the change in methodology. The fact that people are now actually going to be asked their consumption behaviour online and phone is a big change. The fact that people will see current print stimuli. And most importantly, that they'll actually see real measured behavioural data when it comes to online traffic. So the proof's in the pudding. We've seen category data, and that's been very interesting, but we haven't seen the readership metrics. We'll see that next week. If I had to make a prediction, just because of the change in methodology, I think you'll probably see a positive uplift on the Monday to Friday readership figures, which is good news for publishers.
Now tell me, we're going to have Morgan readership,
Yep.
We're going to have Emma readership.
Yes.
What's going to happen? I mean, Emma's going to be monthly. They're going to incorporate digital eyeballs, so we're going to get a sort of a total masthead figure, if you like, which is sort of a help, but you still can't buy it all the same. But anyway,
Sure.
Morgan's are saying, look, I think they're about to announce, look, we're going monthly as well.
That's
we're
right.
also doing total masthead figures. Too little, too late for them?
Don't know. The answer, I think what you're driving at is, will agencies actually subscribe to both
Long
systems?
term, they probably won't, will they? If it's going to cost them more.
If it's going to cost them more, it's going to be very difficult. It's pretty unpalatable in this climate to actually sort of cough up with that. But the reality is it's also going to be client-driven. So some clients actually have their own single source data aligned with Morgan or aligned with Ipsos, which is obviously powered within Emma. So those decisions are also going to have to be taken into consideration. But there are two unknowns. We don't know what the readership looks like, and we don't know what the cost looks like yet too.
So we'll come back to you on that then.
Yeah.
And James, just also staying in this side of the business, Fairfax Media selling Investsmart. We got that news this week.
Yeah, they bought it for, was back in the middle of last decade, I think, 5-6 years ago, whatever it was. Spent about $12 million on it. They're going to get $7 million. I'm not sure if they're keeping part of it, what the exact exchange is there, but probably wasn't a great investment in hindsight, but not core to their ongoing business, so they're probably looking at any avenues to raise a bit of cash.
All right, let's move to some other news this week as well. Well, 2 weeks ago, retiring media buyer Harold Mitchell told us he wouldn't be joining the board of any media company. Instead, this week, he's going to represent 6 of them, taking on the role of chairman of Free TV Australia. This comes after a turbulent time for the lobby group, with members disagreeing over whether the 75% reach rule should be scrapped, leading to former 9TV boss Jeff Brown resigning as chair.
I've been fighting with these people for most of my professional life, in good spirits, and the only battle they had, I think, was to find an appropriate chairman. Was that they had to agree on one person. The people that they were looking at were unbelievably good and fair dinkum out. I think probably they agreed on me. If there's been anything, I think I've been equally tough on all of them. So I think that we came out on balance like that. So I'm delighted and happy, I'd have to say this.
Well, let's get more on this from Mediaweek's James Manning and media buyer Andrew Lamb from TMS. James, just looking at this news, I mean, everyone had been wondering, no one believed that Harold Mitchell would really retire. What do you think of this appointment?
Yeah, well, he didn't lie to us, did he? But no. He just didn't, he just didn't reveal, I guess, that he might have been in negotiations for something else, working with the media companies. A good job, I guess, for him, and he's couldn't be better connected than Harold Mitchell. So it's a big win for the free TV people, I think.
And do you think he'll be able to sort of ensure there's a bit of a truce there too between the?
Yeah, look, there's been a bit of feuding there, but they've all got good reasons to sort of settle down and get on with it. Nine's going to float, so they want to sort of be part of a united front, I think. Big ongoing pressures on advertising dollars in the future that we've just seen digital rising up and about to did overtake the spend on free-to-air television, so they'll really want to secure the dollars there, and who better, I suppose, to sort of host some advertisers to long lunches and stuff like that than Harold Mitchell, and to argue the benefits of the sector.
Yeah, what do you think of this appointment, Andrew?
I'm always very cautious to comment on Harold Mitchell, but you can't argue that he's the media man. I mean, he has been for many years the most powerful media buyer in Australia. So if there's going to be someone who can pull those, again, I'll be very careful how I phrase this, egos together and get consolidation and drive revenue, then he's probably a terrific appointment.
All right, we've got lots more to ask you both about. Do stay with us. Coming up on Media Week, a wrap of the media companies reporting results this week.